it's good for. Waffle making, kicking through the shin. Reputation came through intimidation.
Hey guys, Kevin here, aka Patriot Punk, aka Marxism, the New AIDS. Check out both channels. So, I want to talk about Trump. Because all week people have been asking me, Kevin, do you still support Trump with what's going on right now? And I have an answer for them. Yes, I do. I've lived through 6 presidents now. I never expected Trump to be on point on every issue. That's something you learn. You're never going to get a guy who's on point on every single issue. I mean, there might be one in every 20 presidents who's like that. The last person I could think of was Ronald Reagan, and even he was too much of a neocon for me. But yeah, you're never going to find that perfect person. Because let's face it, John McAfee's never going to be president. And I love John McAfee, by the way. I mean, God, could you imagine what he would say about these pricks out there pushing gun control? And these kids, these annoying, unlikable kids that they pick to go push this stuff? John McAfee would tear them apart. So, you're never going to get that guy who's on point on every issue. And Trump never ran as a pro-gun guy. You know, he was America first. That was his policy, to bring us better trade deals, to open up our economy, to free the markets. And he's done a great job with that. But Trump is more like an East Coast liberal from the 1970s, right? He's like one of these fiscal conservatives, sort of socially liberal, but a few decades past his time. So we got to give Trump a little leeway here. One thing about Trump is he likes to be liked, right? He's got to be liked by everybody, and he gives way too much credence to the media. And I know he likes to bash the media, but he cares about what they say about him. And he's infatuated with watching these shows like Morning Joe. So when Trump sees these kids all out there running around screaming, you know, if you're not with us, you're for child death, Trump gets scared. I mean, look, he's always been worried about his approval. But that works to our advantage, because just look at what happened to Dick's yesterday. Yesterday, Dick's came out. They said, look, we're not going to sell AR-15s anymore, which was a stunt, by the way. Dick's never sold AR-15s. Their little sister store did. I forgot what they call that, like Field and Stream or something. But Dick's never sold AR-15s. And so it was a stunt. And they came out and said this, but just doing the stunt, people went crazy. And the silent majority lashed out at Dick's. And, you know, I called them myself. And that's what we have to do. We have to call these people and let them know that the left is a very vocal minority. There's 600,000 guns in this country. You know, when the left say, oh, only 30% of households own guns, that's ridiculous. That would mean each household that owns guns has like 15 or 20 guns. So there's a lot of gun owners out there, and they don't even count the people who are like gangsters and people like that who have illegal guns. But yeah, I'm sure those people want us disarmed and probably agree with the left. Guys, I lived in El Salvador. I've lived all over the world, but El Salvador is a prime example of what happens when socialists push these kind of emotional arguments and try to disarm a country. And both socialism and disarmament happen in El Salvador. And the people there live like victims. I mean, look, every single store has to have a security guard with a shotgun in front of it. Every home is behind huge iron fences with barbed wire, and they even break glass bottles, and they put the glass bottles up on the wall, so if people try to climb over, they cut their hands with glass. I mean, it's insane. My wife's family, their political family there, her uncle was on the Supreme Court, her other uncle ran for president last year, or a couple years ago, and when we went there to one of their houses, oh my God, I mean, security guards everywhere, 20 or 30 of these guys. And I'd been in a war zone in Iraq, but El Salvador scares me, mostly because I don't have a gun to defend myself there. Here's something else I learned from living in socialist countries, and it's pretty much the same across the board. Everywhere from Sweden to El Salvador to Nicaragua to Colombia, anywhere where these people take power, the criminals are empowered. And if you do own a gun, because some people can't own guns. It's very hard to get one, but you can own a gun sometimes. But if you shoot somebody in self-defense, you go to jail. They will put you in jail and throw away the key because they empower criminals, and they want to push laws like this to make people feel like victims, feel like they need the state to take care of them. And it's horrible. It's horrific. And that's why these countries with the gun control all have the highest murder rates. Because the UN did a study a while back, and it showed that legal gun ownership increases, crime decreases. As illegal gun ownership increases, crime increases. So when you have decreased legal gun ownership, crime goes up. When you have increased legal gun ownership, crime goes down. And, you know, Trump might be throwing them a sacrificial lamb with the bump stocks. I don't think he's going to try to ban assault rifles. That's ridiculous. It didn't work back in the 90s. I don't know why they want to push this. And even if you ban assault rifles, you still have stuff like the Mini 14. You still have an 870 pump shotgun. If I was going to go do a terrorist act, I would rather have an 870 pump shotgun with some buckshot sawed down than any other gun. I mean, that's just a devastating weapon right there. So, especially in close quarters, I know they want to ban assault rifles, but assault rifle crime is the lowest out of all types of guns, next to maybe muskets. So most crimes are committed with handguns, not AR-15s, not long guns. But look, these are sporting weapons. We enjoy them. AR-15s, there are so many of them on the market right now. So many people own these guns. It would be impossible to do an assault weapon ban. And even if they did, nobody would give it up. So you just create a country full of criminals. Prohibition has never worked. And we have to remind Trump that. Like I said, I think he just wants to be liked. He's heard these emotional arguments. And he's a person who wants to, you know, come off as empathetic because he's so tired of all this criticism of him being, you know, this cold, racist, whatever they throw at him. You know, he's always trying to prove them wrong. And that's something I think is a bad move on Trump's part. He should be like, yeah, it's all lies. Just shut up. We're not any of those things. But he always tries to prove them wrong. And so I think he's trying to be this negotiator, giving people a little bit and hoping to get something back. But you never give the left an inch because they will always take a mile. So what we need to do is just start tweeting Trump directly. Tweet at POTUS or at the real Donald Trump. And let him know that we will not stand for this, that he will lose in 2020. He just announced, for God's sake. And he's doing the one thing that both Democrats and Republicans know will cost them an election, to go after guns. That is a losing issue across the board. So he's out there pushing this gun control to try to appease these leftists, and it's just not a good idea for him. And we have to remind him that. We have to go out and tweet to him. We have to go and write letters to the White House or call the White House and let them know. Call your congressmen too, because that's another big part of this. The neocons seem to have no problem giving up our constitutional rights. So we need to remind them too who put them in office. And I really think that Republicans are losing elections right now because we became weak on a lot of these issues. And the time of neocons is ending, and we haven't replaced those people with better candidates. And so, yeah, I mean, look, John McAfee, if you're out there, we need you, buddy.